Okay guys, and maybe let us just look into a short, as we've just looked in this program before. I said this was a class, this was a method or a function, but then in Java we call it a method or a subroutine. We do not call it a function. You can call it a function maybe in other languages like C++ and or JavaScript, but in here it is called a method. The main method or subroutine like this. This is what we call a method or subroutine, right? So I want us to create a short program that is going to like take maybe student details and then print that student details to us. Okay. A short program that will take students details and print them to us. So basically we are going to we'll have to give our domain to name or declare our instance variables. So for this beginner class, let us just use the same class in here, or maybe for this beginner lecture, let us just use the same class in here. We don't want to like complicate things, right? So for the basics, we are going to declare everything in here and then run everything in here. So basically, let me just remove this one so that we can be on the same page. So the first thing to introduce, or our student is going to have like what is this name, maybe an ID, and then maybe age, and then maybe what is maybe a payment. Did he pay or maybe didn't pay? You remember our data types? We said we have maybe about 6 data types, which is string, characters, char, of boolean, integers, float, double, and then any others. So we are going to be using them in here. So without any waste of time, let me just introduce the name of the student. The name is going to be an integer. Should it be an integer? Because we want to run the name in here directly, I think we just have to declare them in here, not outside the class, because this function is static, so it needs every variable or method that is going to be used in here to be static. Otherwise we should create a class and then be able to run that class in here. But for the basics, we're just going to declare everything in here in the same method. So let me just say string name, or maybe student name, like this. And then what else do we need? We need an integer. I'm just going to list them. You can just add them using commas, but I'm just going to list them so that you can see everything and step by step. What else do we need? We need an ID. We're going to call it an integer, which is a data type int, and then what we have a student ID. We also need what else do we need? We need to check the student's paid. We are going to say boolean has paid. What else do we need to check for the student? Let me say we need also to check maybe the amount paid. So we're also going to take it as a double or a float. Let me just take it as a double amount paid. These are the values that we are going to be taking from the student and then printing them out. Meaning we are going to prompt the student or prompt the user to enter the student's name, the ID, the paid variable, and then the amount paid if he paid, and then we are going to also print those details out. So without any waste of time, let us just say okay, enter student, let me say student name like this, I think. Then maybe we could use print here, not print line. As you remember in class we said this is to print onto the next line. It leaves the cursor into the next line. But then if you want to leave it onto the same line in here, like we want to fill in here, you just have to use printing here. Print is written like this. Print like this. This is the function that only takes those values that are going to leave the cursor on the same line. So but then here you are just going to go to the next line. So we said we introduced student name. But then you remember in class we said there is this function which is from the scanner library, which is input. We give it a variable name as input, and then maybe we are going to say scanner, and then it takes system. Oh, what is my keyboard doing? .in. Okay. So what we said in here, we said okay, we need to import this. I'm just going to say import Java util scanner. Yes, import it from the Java util class or the Java util library. So now that we have this scanner, we have given it input. You can just give it any name that you want. It's just a variable name, just like we talked about variable. It is just a variable name or an object name. So we can give it any name we want. I've just decided to give it. So when the program says enter the student name, I'm just going to enter the student. Enter the this is name, and then I'm just going to assign it to the input. And the input, I'm just going to append the next line. Remember the next line method, we said this one takes a strings, because this student name is a string in here. So that is why we append the next line here. And then what else do we need? We also need the ID. We're going to say enter. How do we write enter? Student ID. And then without any waste of time, I'm just going to say student ID, and then assign it to the next int now, because the ID is an integer in here. So we need to assign it to the next int. So we're going to say input dot next int like this, and then I need to terminate in here like copy. So we said in order for us to be able to pass to the next line after inserting an integer value, we need to also include the next line using the input variable. So in here we just need to, this happens only, we said this is done only in the string and the double variables. So in here we're just going to say input help us with including a line in here, because now we have just inserted an integer. So the integer will be just compact or compress our prompts together, and then we are not going to be able to print like double. We are not going to be able to see like or double prompts printed. We're only going to get them like one. They are going to jump without this line. The cursor will jump one of our input values in here. So this line helps us to properly go through each and every line, if I can say. So now we need we have entered an ID. So now what we need is the value that is paid. So we're going to say served. We are going to ask a question. Is that normal? Let me say as how do you write that student paid? If that student has paid, the user is going to type in true. If he didn't, it's going to type in false. So is paid, I am going to assign it to an input because it's an input, and that will be next what do you say, next boolean. It takes the next boolean function, and then here we're just going to say if the student is paid and enter the amount. But then we are not going to demonstrate the use of a selection of my decisions in here. We're just going to demonstrate the use of the basic structure of the program. Then in the following clip, we're just going to make the selection that if the student is paid, then do this. If the student didn't pay, do that also. But now we're just going to say then enter the amount paid. And then the amount paid is going to be amount paid. Also, I am going to like append it with what? With the next double function, because you say it takes its corresponding function or corresponding. Just look at it into here. It's a boolean, then it should be boolean in here. It's a string, then it should be a string in here. String, you said a string is a line. If it's an integer, then it should be. If it was a character, then it was going to take next character or something, or character. So now we can just print our values like here. Print our values like this. You entered this plus student name plus student ID. Also, this is just formatting. Do not mind it. I'm just trying to format my display. We also what else did you enter? Oh, is paid, I think. Also, what did you enter? The amount paid, right? And then we can just run the program if it is going to be well. We need to run it and then be able to see what is going on in here. So what is happening now? What is happening is taking too long. This is the problem. I think that is delaying my program to transferring my venue to something. I don't know why it doesn't do it on its own time, because now I'm just I'm working and then it is starting, it's transferring. Now it's running. Enter student name. As you can see here, I'm just going to enter it Togo and then enter student ID 1001. Right. Enter student has that student paid let me say false. It takes false or true. Enter the amount paid. I am just going to say 20.2, and then here is the information that I entered. You entered this, as you can see. You entered this. Mitogo was the name, the ID here, and then the student has it paid, and then the amount paid is 20 Rand, 2 cents. This is how we code, or this is how we develop problems in Java. If you do understand, or if you are following the flow, this is how we deal with problems in Java. This problem can like be in form of if you can maybe remember ATM systems, the old ATM systems, which used to ask you question by question and then you answer using maybe putting in your PIN number, you type in your PIN number, isn't the ID. Here you could have said type in your PIN number and then you type in your PIN number, type in your password with your name, or type in whatever, your card number or your account number, and then it is going to print to you how much do you have in account or how much do you have in balance. I think if you are clear with the problem, Java problem, we made it to be simple for this clip. In the following clip, we're just going to go to the what you call this selection, so that we can be able to as you remember in here. I mean in here, where is this? As you can see, remember in here, we didn't do the selection that if the student has a paid, we shouldn't be detecting this statement. If the student, this answer is false, this was not supposed to show. But then here you can see that we didn't do that selection. We need to be able to do that selection in here, here that if the his page is false, then do not show this, otherwise show this. Otherwise, I think we are done with this.